All right. So tonight's talk has been modified to brain-based laser, as well as body-based laser and how it affects your body. We've been getting a lot of questions about the laser, so I figure we might as well do some educational workshops on it to have some people understand why we're doing it, why I've integrated it, why we've been seeing such good changes, the different things it can affect, and how it actually works. With that being said, thank you for being here. I always start off with the statement that my hope and prayer is that you take something and learn something, but pass it on to somebody else. So you can be that light to help somebody else. So with that being said, how does the laser integrate into care? So if we look at care, the spoke that controls everything is the adjustment. The adjustment is 90% of the change that you are going to get. That's why we want to do the adjustment first. The adjustment literally resets how the brain perceives the world. The adjustment changes your perception. The newer research is coming out and it's changing networks of how you perceive things. So what they've shown is that people can have things like anxiety because their body doesn't know where it is in space. They can have visual, auditory problems because their body literally doesn't know where it is in space. The adjustment allows your brain to know where it actually is in space. Therefore, you can perceive seeing, hearing information correctly. Everything you hear, see, smell, taste, and so forth. So those networks work correctly when they get good information in. If they don't get good information in, they're not going to work correctly, and then we can get dysfunction. Example, the first man that was ever adjusted, Mr. Harvey Lillard, he was a janitor. What happened to him, he was in a crouched place cleaning, heard a pop in his lower neck, and then he went deaf. He lost his hearing. And then D.D. Palmer, his father, reasoned, well, if he heard a pop here, what would happen if I pushed on the back of his neck? So he pushed on the back of his neck 2 times and his hearing came back. And the research shows that when you do that, it will allow you to perceive the world correctly. I personally have experienced adjusting a fellow. I was on a mission trip and I adjusted him. And after the adjustment, his sight came back in his right eye. He had been blind since he was born. And the birth process is what caused it. And I didn't even know what was going on. If you don't know, we have a new staff member in our office. Her name's Sylvie, and she speaks Spanish. Well, we were in a Spanish-speaking country. And all I heard was, blah, 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 blah. I had no clue what was going on. And the interpreter said, this man has been blind, and now he can see. So I've seen this, I've heard of it, and I've experienced it. So I'm just letting you know, this is why the adjustment is so important. It's not me trying to get you in to do something. It's me literally trying to set you up to get the changes you want to see. So the adjustment is the #1 most important thing that you can do. This is why if somebody asks, well, doc, if I can do only one thing, what should I do? The adjustment. No, bear none, that's it. That's going to reset the brain. Then the other aspects of what we do come in. Laser, neuro, and biofeedback. So we are going to be honing in on laser, but I have to mention neuro and bio. Laser is the next step if we want to look at what we need to make sure we're healing. You get adjusted. Then when you do laser, I'm going to go in real big depth about this tonight, but the laser will give your body energy, the energy that it needs to heal. We can set up your brain, but if it doesn't have any energy, it doesn't matter. So your car, you can turn the switch, but if the battery's dead, it doesn't matter. The battery is the energy. Does that make sense? So we need the energy to make it work. But then the next thing is we need it to keep firing correctly. So if we go back to that car analogy, if the connection between the battery and the computer is faulty and keeps going on, off, you're going to get all your signals, all the things are going to go all crazy in your car. Well, when that happens in your body, those are symptoms that show up when the body doesn't know what's going on. So the connection, how this works is the neurofeedback actually reinforces, connects, makes sure that connection is working. So the adjustment makes the brain see the world correctly. The laser gives you the energy to then use those areas of your body to work correctly. And then the neural feedback hardwires it to stay. That's for the brain. Let's say that we're trying to fix something else. Let's say we're trying to fix a brainstem mechanism, like how sweaty or cold your hands are. So if your hands are chronically cold, it tells me you're stressed out. Then we can use laser at the brainstem to improve the energy. And we can also use biofeedback to learn how to connect the breathing to make the body hardwire it. So simplistically, adjustment breaks stress pattern, makes the brain and the body go into a relaxed state. Laser gives the body the energy to improve the healing. And then the neural feedback and the biofeedback hardwire in this training that you want to see. That make sense? So today we're going to go into the laser itself. What does the laser do? How does it work? How does it cause changes? And why am I so excited for people to use it in conjunction with the other things that we do? So when we look at the laser, we need to understand that the laser that I'm running actually has two frequencies that are being used. It's not something that you can buy on Amazon. I get this question all the time. Well, can't I just buy a red light on Amazon? Yeah, you can, but it's not a laser. It's an LED. It's a light emitting diode. It does not put out the same amount of energy. And I've had people, well, I have a laser. I'm going to show you how strong it is. And I go, okay. So I'll look at it and I'll calculate and I'll go, okay, to get what my laser can do in 5 minutes, it's going to take you 23 hours holding it on your head. And by the way, it's not going to go through. So it's going to give you, well, not your head. It won't do it on your head, but on your body to help with, say, a strained muscle. So don't get me wrong, red light therapy works, but there's specific frequencies that you need for this to work. So what we need and what I use is 808 nanometers, and this is infrared. This is the one that we use, and I bought it specifically. This is the only one I could find on the market that would produce 808 nanometers infrared, and I needed this one specifically. Why did I buy this frequency specifically? Because 808 to 810 are the scientifically proven ones that will actually penetrate into the skull 2 inches deep. That means it actually goes through the skull and will put energy into the actual brain tissue. If you have a laser that produces more than 850 nanometers, do not use it on your brain. It will actually cause neuronal death. It will cause lysing of the cell, because what it will do is it will cause the sodium potassium voltage-gated channels to actually open, and it will cause cells to start dying. So basically, don't use it. If it's high, it'll cause your brain to die. That's basically all you need to understand. Above 850 is bad. You don't want to use it. Between this small gap, 808 and 810, it's good. It will help the tissue heal. Any questions so far? Go ahead. So in engineer world, if you can make it, you make it. Why would you make an atomic bomb? Because we can. Why would you make it? Because we can. It's not about if it's good for the body, it's can I make it? Now, is this frequency going to be good for metallurgy or something else? Probably. So why would you make it? Because you can. And then figure out what to do with it. So that's the thing that we need to understand. Does that make sense? All right. So that's infrared. Then 850, yes. 850 can be good for other parts, just not your brain. Do not touch your brain. Well, no, I'm going to take that back. Not if it goes to a nerve. So if an 850 touches a nerve, it will cause that neuronal death that I'm talking about. It'll cause that ion channel to open, and that's how neurons die. They literally start spreading calcium, and they start depolarizing, and everything starts dying. So yes, do not do this anywhere else on your body. That's why the frequencies that have been shown to be most productive is now the one we use here, which is 637. And this range runs from 600 to 650. And this is red. So when we use the laser, Brooke, can you bring me one, or is it up here? So when we use it, what I need you to understand is when we set it up, when we have it on red, we can see it's quite bright. That's the actual color of the electrode coming out. When we put it on infrared, you can barely see it. And that's because what you see there is not infrared. Infrared is beyond visible light. So you can't see it. This is actually a tracer light just telling you where it is. The light you see here is not doing the job. The infrared is past. So light goes in spectrums. So one of the light frequencies that we can use in medicine is X-ray. That's actually a light frequency. And then infrared, ultraviolet, violet, there's all these different frequencies. And what we found is that infrared and red are the frequencies that work the best on the human body because of a specific area that they affect. Are we doing good so far? I wrote so many notes and I've gotten to one of 20 points. So I don't think I'm going to get very far. So I think I'm going to jump way down to where we need to go. So when we look in the cell, so we're going to say this is the cell, and inside the cell, we have the powerhouse of the cell. If we remember this from biology, the powerhouse of the cell is the mitochondria. A lot of people took biology. That's awesome. So the mitochondria, the powerhouse. What does that mean? It means it makes energy. So that's literally what it means, ATP, ADP. So ATP and adenosine tri means 3-phosphate. ADP means di means 2-phosphate. It just means you got 2 energies and 3 energies. That's all it really means for simplistic state. Now what happens here is the laser will shine the light in. And in the mitochondria, there's an enzyme. And this enzyme is light sensitive, and it's called cytochrome C oxide. So you'll see it CCO. And this enzyme, being light sensitive, will actually be turned on, activated to produce more ATP. So why is ATP important? What does it do? How does it help us? ATP is the energy that runs everything in our body. Every single thing that we have uses ATP. If we don't have ATP, we're no longer. What we need to understand, though, is as we age, we actually lose these powerhouses. At the age of 18 to 25, we are on peak ATP production. We have the most mitochondria that we'll ever have. So let's say we're looking at muscle, and this is an 18-year-old. This is the amount of ATP or mitochondria that's in a muscle cell of an 18-year-old. Now you get to the muscle of a 50-year-old, and you're half. Go ahead.
Do they just decrease in efficiency as well?
Correct. The question is, do they decrease in efficiency as well? Yes. You have less mitochondria, and they're less efficient. That is correct. So we have less mitochondria, and they're less efficient. What does this mean? If you've ever heard, well, I just have this problem, and that's normal aging. That is not actually correct. That's decreased mitochondria energy production. That's all that means. The less energy you have, the slower it takes for you to heal. Think of it like water. If we barely water our garden, not a lot of stuff grows. If we water it and gets everything it needs, a ton of it will grow. That's what ATP is. It's the water to the garden. So as we age, we have less ATP. This is the beautiful genius part of what the laser does. The laser will literally come in here and stimulate the mitochondria to make more ATP, as well as make more mitochondria. You increase the mitochondrial density of the area that you're actually growing there. So we laser, let's say, this area, all of a sudden you start growing more mitochondria. So what does that mean? That area now has more energy. When you have more energy, now you can heal the actual damaged tissue. So how does it work? I laser somebody who has, let's say, well, I didn't get into this. Remember infrared and red? Infrared's job is mainly neuronal. So it actually stimulates the mitochondrial growth in the neuron. It is also deep. It'll go up to 2 inches into the brain, but it will literally completely saturate tissue. It'll go directly through bone, saturate bone, go into soft tissue. The red, on the other hand, will only go roughly 1/4 of an inch into the tissue. So that means it's superficial. So what would superficial things that need help, that need energy be? Muscle, ligament, skin, wrinkles. Yes. So this is what red is being used for. People use red. It'll also, as a side note, increase lipolysis, which means fat deposition removal. So some people are actually using red light to cause fat loss to happen. So they'll actually get the lymphatics going so you can drain, and then put it on, and it will literally make you drain or burn off fat in certain areas wherever you are. So that's one of the things. Other things people use red for is on their head to regrow hair. We've had patients and we've used red and infrared to actually heal wounds. So it'll give energy to the wound so it can actually heal quicker. So that's when we're looking at it, increased mitochondrial content, the amount of mitochondria, and the amount of energy you produce is the goal of the laser. What else does it do, though? So when we look at it, we need to understand that through the cytochrome C oxidase, it increases mitochondrial content. So MTCH is mitochondria. This is doctor shorthand. It will also increase mitochondrial density, and it will increase energy production. So that's the simple stuff. It will also, though, increase nitrous oxide production in the tissue that is being exposed to. What does nitrous oxide do? It actually dilates blood vessels, makes them more permeable, makes more blood go to the areas. Yes, sir. Yes. So nitric oxide is driving, did I say nitrous? Yeah. NO. It's driving blood vessels to become more permeable. So in the brain, it will actually cause the blood vessels to get bigger so more blood can go in there. It will cause the neurons to have more energy to remove the inflammation. It will cause the neurons to regrow any damaged areas that it can regrow. Now, why is this important? Once you damage a neuron and it dies, it never comes back. They're called postmitotic, which means you do not regrow neurons. There are very specific regions you can, but the areas that keep you functioning well, they don't grow back. Frontal lobe, cerebellum, no grow back. So don't hurt those areas. When we help you, we can help grow around the damage so you get function back, but your goal for healthy long life is keeping as many neurons in your brain as possible. That's literally the big thing. So we're increasing mitochondria. We're increasing nitrous oxide production, so that will increase blood flow. It will also increase vasodilation, and it is anti-inflammatory. So it will help decrease inflammation. All of this is happening because we're applying a laser to your head, to your part of your body. So what does this mean? It means you heal quicker. Now understand, there are contraindications. Because it increases energy, what tissue would we never want to have more energy? Any ideas? What? The heart? No, heart, we actually want a lot of energy. I'll give you the answer. Cancer cells. We never want to give cancer cells more oxygen, more blood sugar, more energy. So we don't want to do it over active cancer. We also cannot do it if you are taking a photosensitive drug. So if you're taking a drug that will make you more sensitive to the sun, we can't laser you because it can actually cause a burn. Because it's very, very strong. Does that make sense? So we're using it to increase injury, increase vasodilation. Now, what it's been shown to do is decrease NF kappa beta. And if you remember all the stuff I was talking about, that's the pro-inflammatory enzyme in every cell that gets turned on when you have stress. So that means it decreases stress when we laser in every cell that it touches. That pro-inflammatory enzyme, NF kappa beta, will literally trigger an inflammatory cascade. And then getting to the brain, it will help with the blood-brain barrier, but the brain itself, it will actually help with a very specific aspect. And I'm going to show you what that is. So when we look at the brain, we're going to look at neurons. So we're looking at neurons, and let's pretend this is zoomed in, and then that's a picture of lots and lots of neurons. So around each neuron, and for my staff, you already heard this today, there are these things called glial cells. And the glial cell's job is to literally clean the neurons. For each one neuron, there are 10 glial cells. So the glial cells look like little spiders or sentinels from the Matrix, and they literally walk up and down the neuron. They literally walk and they clean it. That's their job. Their job is basically to brush the neuron every night and clean it. Clean it of inflammation. The question is, what does it clean it of? Inflammation, debris, anything that's sticking around. So an example, a tau protein that you hear about in Alzheimer's is a buildup of sugar on the neuron. So it's diabetes of the brain. So it cleans all that off. What happens here is when the neurons are working healthily, they're being cleaned. And every time you sleep, the brain will actually shrink, and these little glial cells will shove all the debris, all the inflammation into the lymphatic system and drain it out. So if you don't sleep, you do not drain inflammation. If you don't drain inflammation, you can cause more problems, because when you have inflammation, these little cells, they're very sensitive. And if they get inflamed by, say, a head injury, chronic inflammation, it's anything that will cause chronic inflammation can actually cause these to change their morphology. That means they lose their legs and swell. And then every single time you are exposed to inflammation, say it's a viral infection, say it's a bacterial infection, say it's a head injury, say it's emotional stress, say it's exposure to sewer gas or exposure to something you're allergic to, these become inflammatory and they start killing whatever they touch. Well, what are they touching? Your brain tissue. So have we ever heard of CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy? What football players get? Swiss cheese brain? That's how this happens. They get a head injury, they don't turn off the inflammation, they get another head injury, they burn more, another head injury, and then literally there's holes throughout their brain. And then they don't make wise decisions. That's why they're driving down, a guy's driving down the street, 120 miles an hour with a pound of cocaine and $1 million on him. And why would he do that? Because literally he can't think. He has Swiss cheese brain. That's what happens. So why am I talking about all of this? This is the beautiful thing about the laser. It will literally come in and it will shrink the cell down and not be inflammatory anymore. It will literally shut off the glial priming. It will shut off the inflammatory response. It will trigger the body to help. Now, what I need you to understand is where this laser is different than other ones is it has embedded frequencies in it. So we can use the frequencies to actually remind the tissue how to fire correctly. So say it's a brain tissue and we need the back of your brain to fire at theta, like a lot of you have needed. Then literally what we do is we set it to theta, and then you'll see how it's pulsating? It's actually pulsating at 4 hertz, which is theta. So it actually tells the tissue to fire at the right rate, which then allows it to actually learn how to slow down from being too fast. Then it has the energy and it's being tricked and to slow down. And then when we do the neural feedback, it actually gets reinforced more. So see how each one builds on each one before? So it helps it actually stay and work correctly. The laser can also be used for multiple other functions though. Examples, if you are extremely stressed out, or you have somebody who has POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia, that vagus nerve is involved. We can use the laser, put it on the vagus nerve frequency, put it on the vagus nerve, and actually stimulate it. And then the body calms down. And it will actually make digestion turn on because the vagus nerve turns on digestion. We can use it for gut health, not only through the vagus nerve, but we can actually put it on the organs that are affected and actually make them have more energy through the mitochondria so that it'll heal. Oh, well, I have a digestive issue. Cool. Let's put it right on your small intestine and make it have more energy. Let's put it right on your colon and have more energy. Let's put it on your uterus. Let's put it on wherever you want to put it and get more energy. Let's say we have neuropathy issues. That means the nerve is not getting enough energy and blood. Well, let's put it on that area and it will increase blood flow through the nitrous oxide and more energy via the laser. Let's say we have a hormone imbalance and we've had a couple ladies come in that have had hot flashes and we literally laser them and the hormones start balancing out because it helps the organs actually produce the right energy. Let's say we need bone repair. We had one fellow who had a broken sacrum for 9 months. It wouldn't heal. His GP was telling him, we're going to cut out your parathyroid because we think it's a thyroid problem. So we lasered him on bone repair, and in a month, it was completely healed on x-ray. It put the energy in, and the body healed. We also did some other things, though. We adjusted him to make sure his brain was working correctly and put him in the right state hormone-wise. So if you're not healing, that means your testosterone isn't high enough or your estrogen isn't high enough, because that's what actually builds bone. You need anabolic hormones. Hot flashes we're talking. Memory problems. So let's say we're somebody who a part of our brain isn't working correctly. We can actually laser it, give it energy, and it will start healing. And then once the problem is gone, then you can use it for peak potential. Oh, well, doc, I want my brain to work well. Cool. Let's laser the frontal lobe. Let's put it in the high frequency so your brain doesn't slow down and then you don't lose your memory. And then let's train it with neuro so you keep it. So it's giving the energy so your body can do what it needs to do. Because remember, as we age, we lose mitochondria. This is a cheat code to give you more back. And each time you use it, your more mitochondria are growing more and more and more. So that area can heal faster and faster and faster, or work quicker and quicker and quicker. And the last one that we can use it for, and this is based on if we need to or not, is we can actually help you liberate trapped emotions. So if you have trapped emotions and say your liver, we can help you liberate that. Or if you have subconscious stuff that you haven't dealt with and you want to push it out, we can actually make the subconscious push up in the back of the brain so you can liberate that PTSD, liberate that underlying issue, train it with neuro, and actually have it come out. So what I'm showing you is it's more than just helps with aches and pains. It can actually help hardwire the brain by putting in the energy, and then the neuro actually keeps it there. Do we have any questions on how the laser is used? Do we have any questions about the laser in general? So what I would say is if you have a friend or family member that says, oh, well, I've tried chiropractic before, well, have you tried it with laser and neuro? Have you tried it looking at the brain first? And let them know we have a patient appreciation week coming up. The day where all the food and the fun is December 11th, but that week before, that's when they get the discount deal. That's when they can come in for that $20 deal and get that full exam. So let your friends and family members know they can get these things done. And for everybody now, when they come in, they all get a free 5-minute laser to experience what it feels like to actually feel calm. So I want to thank you all for being here tonight. I hope we learned some stuff, and God bless.